Question 1. What year marked the establishment of the first official law enforcement agency in Tennessee? A. 1776. B. 1835. C. 1861. D. 1920. Correct answer. B. 1835. Explanation. In 1835, Tennessee established its first official law enforcement agency, which was the Tennessee State Police. This agency was tasked with enforcing the law throughout the state. Before this, law enforcement was primarily carried out by local sheriffs and constables. Understanding the historical development of law enforcement in Tennessee provides insight into the evolution of policing practices and structures within the state. Question 2. Which of the following is a requirement for a valid search warrant in Tennessee? A. Probable cause. B. Reasonable suspicion. C. Preponderance of evidence. D. Hearsay. Correct answer. A. Probable cause. Explanation. In Tennessee, as in most jurisdictions, a valid search warrant requires probable cause. This means there must be sufficient evidence for a reasonable person to believe that a crime has been committed or that evidence of a crime exists at the location to be searched. Probable cause is a fundamental principle of the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution and is essential to safeguarding individual rights against unreasonable searches and seizures. Question 3. Officer Smith responds to a domestic disturbance call involving Mr. Garcia and his spouse. Upon arrival, Officer Smith notices signs of physical altercation and observes Mrs. Garcia with visible injuries. Mr. Garcia appears agitated and refuses to cooperate with Officer Smith's questions. What should Officer Smith do in this situation? A. Immediately arrest Mr. Garcia for domestic violence. B. Separate Mr. and Mrs. Garcia and conduct individual interviews. C. Use force to restrain Mr. Garcia and compel cooperation. D. Leave the scene and report the incident to a superior officer. Correct answer. B. Separate Mr. and Mrs. Garcia and conduct individual interviews. Explanation. In this scenario, Officer Smith should prioritize the safety of all parties involved while also gathering necessary information to assess the situation accurately. Separating Mr. and Mrs. Garcia allows Officer Smith to interview each party independently, reducing the risk of intimidation or interference. This approach enables Officer Smith to gather essential details, such as the sequence of events, any threats made, and the extent of injuries, which are crucial for documenting the incident accurately and determining the appropriate course of action. It's essential for officers to handle domestic disturbance calls with sensitivity, adherence to protocols, and awareness of potential risks to all parties involved. This scenario highlights the importance of effective communication, conflict resolution skills, and the application of Tennessee-specific domestic violence laws and procedures. Question 4. Under Tennessee law, when is a law enforcement officer justified in using deadly force? A. To prevent the escape of a fleeing suspect. B. To protect themselves or others from imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury. C. To apprehend a suspect accused of a nonviolent offense. D. To enforce compliance with verbal commands. Correct answer. B. To protect themselves or others from imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury. Explanation. In Tennessee, as outlined in the Tennessee Code Annotated, law enforcement officers are authorized to use deadly force only when they reasonably believe it is necessary to protect themselves or others from an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury. This standard is in line with the principles of proportionality and necessity, emphasizing the importance of using force as a last resort in situations where there is an immediate threat to life or safety. Question 5. Which of the following is a key principle of community-oriented policing in Tennessee? A. Reactive response to incidents. B. Centralized decision-making. C. Collaborative problem-solving. D. Minimal interaction with community members. Correct answer. C. Collaborative problem solving. Explanation. Community-oriented policing in Tennessee emphasizes collaboration between law enforcement agencies and community members to identify and address public safety concerns. This approach involves proactive problem-solving strategies that prioritize community engagement, dialogue, and partnerships to develop tailored solutions to local issues. By involving residents, businesses, and other stakeholders in the decision-making process, law enforcement agencies can foster trust, enhance transparency, and promote effective crime prevention efforts within Tennessee communities. Question 6. Which Tennessee agency is primarily responsible for coordinating response efforts during natural disasters and civil unrest? A. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, TBI. B. Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, TEMA. C. Tennessee Highway Patrol, THP. D. Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security. Correct answer. B. Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, TEMA. Explanation. The Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, TEMA, serves as the primary state agency responsible for coordinating emergency response and recovery efforts during natural disasters, emergencies, and civil unrest. TEMA works collaboratively with local, state, and federal partners to ensure a coordinated and effective response to emergencies across Tennessee. Understanding the role of TEMA is essential for law enforcement officers and first responders involved in emergency management and disaster response operations within the state. Question 7. Which crime prevention strategy focuses on increasing surveillance and visibility in targeted areas to deter criminal activity? A. Situational crime prevention. B. Target hardening. C. Environmental design. D. Routine activities theory. Correct answer. A. Situational crime prevention. Explanation. Situational crime prevention aims to reduce opportunities for crime by modifying the immediate environment in which criminal acts occur. Increasing surveillance and visibility through measures such as enhanced lighting, security cameras, and police patrols is a common strategy used to deter criminal behavior in specific locations. By making it more difficult or risky for offenders to commit crimes, situational crime prevention contributes to overall crime reduction efforts in Tennessee communities. Question 8. In Tennessee, what is the legal blood alcohol concentration, BAC, limit for drivers aged 21 and older? A. 0.08%. B. 0.10%. C. 0.05%. D. 0.15%. Correct answer. A. 0.08%. Explanation. In Tennessee, drivers aged 21 and older are considered to be driving under the influence, DUI, if their blood alcohol concentration, BAC, is 0.08% or higher. This legal limit is consistent with the national standard established by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, and is enforced to deter impaired driving and promote road safety. Law enforcement officers utilize various methods, such as field sobriety tests and breathalyzer tests, to detect and apprehend individuals driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Tennessee. Question 9. Which of the following fitness components is particularly important for law enforcement officers in Tennessee to maintain for job performance and injury prevention? A. Flexibility. B. Endurance. C. Speed. D. Balance. Correct answer. B. Endurance. Explanation. Endurance is a critical fitness component for law enforcement officers in Tennessee as it supports sustained physical activity during patrols, pursuits, and other operational tasks. Maintaining cardiovascular endurance enhances officers' ability to perform effectively over extended periods and aids in managing the physical and mental demands of law enforcement duties. By incorporating endurance-building exercises and conditioning programs into their fitness regimen, officers can enhance their job performance, reduce fatigue-related injuries, and promote overall health and wellness. Question 10. Which ethical principle emphasizes the importance of law enforcement officers acting impartially and without favoritism in their official duties? A. Integrity. B. Accountability. C. Fairness. D. Loyalty. Correct answer. C. Fairness. Explanation. Fairness is a fundamental ethical principle that guides the conduct of law enforcement officers in Tennessee and elsewhere. It requires officers to treat all individuals with equity, impartiality, and respect for their rights and dignity, regardless of personal biases or external influences. Upholding fairness promotes public trust and confidence in law enforcement agencies and ensures the equitable administration of justice within Tennessee communities. Officers must adhere to ethical standards and procedural fairness in their interactions with the public to maintain integrity and professionalism in law enforcement practice. Question 11. Which of the following is a crucial step in ensuring the integrity of evidence collected at a crime scene in Tennessee? A. Handling evidence with bare hands to avoid contamination. B. Documenting the chain of custody. C. Storing evidence in plastic bags to prevent moisture damage. D. Discarding irrelevant items found at the scene. Correct answer. B. Documenting the chain of custody. Explanation. Documenting the chain of custody is essential in preserving the integrity of evidence collected at a crime scene in Tennessee. This involves maintaining a detailed record of the possession, handling, and transfer of evidence from the moment it is discovered until it is presented in court. By documenting each individual who had custody of the evidence and the dates and times of transfers, law enforcement agencies establish a clear and unbroken trail of accountability, ensuring that the evidence remains admissible and reliable in legal proceedings. Question 12. What is the primary purpose of an Emergency Operations Center, EOC, during a crisis situation in Tennessee? A. Conducting criminal investigations. B. Coordinating response and resource management. C. Providing medical treatment to victims. D. Implementing long-term recovery efforts. Correct answer. B. Coordinating response and resource management. Explanation. The primary purpose of an Emergency Operations Center, EOC, during a crisis situation in Tennessee is to coordinate response and resource management efforts. EOCs serve as centralized command centers where representatives from multiple agencies and organizations collaborate to plan, organize, and direct emergency response activities. By coordinating communication, logistics, and resource allocation, EOCs facilitate efficient and effective response operations, enabling responders to address immediate needs and manage complex emergencies in Tennessee communities. Question 13. Which investigative technique involves interviewing individuals who may have information relevant to a criminal investigation in Tennessee? A. Surveillance. B. Interrogation. C. Profiling. D. Analysis. Correct answer. B. Interrogation. Explanation. Interrogation is a crucial investigative technique used in Tennessee and elsewhere to obtain information from individuals who may possess knowledge relevant to a criminal investigation. During interrogation, trained investigators ask questions, gather statements, and seek to elicit truthful and accurate information from witnesses, victims, and suspects. Effective interrogation techniques include active listening, rapport building, and asking open-ended questions to elicit detailed responses. By conducting thorough and ethical interrogations, law enforcement officers can gather valuable evidence and insights to advance criminal investigations in Tennessee. Question 14. Which of the following statements accurately reflects the legal concept of probable cause in Tennessee? A. Probable cause requires absolute certainty of criminal activity before a search or seizure can occur. B. Probable cause necessitates a reasonable belief that a crime has been, is being, or will be committed, based on specific facts and circumstances. C. Probable cause is only applicable in cases of violent felonies in Tennessee. D. Probable cause is determined solely by the intuition and gut feeling of the law enforcement officer. Correct answer. B. Probable cause necessitates a reasonable belief that a crime has been, is being, or will be committed, based on specific facts and circumstances. Explanation. In Tennessee, probable cause is a fundamental legal concept derived from the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. It requires more than a mere suspicion but less evidence than is needed to convict. It is based on specific facts and circumstances that would lead a reasonable person to believe that a crime has been, is being, or will be committed. This principle ensures that law enforcement actions such as searches and seizures are conducted with justifiable cause, protecting individuals' rights against unreasonable intrusion by the government. Question 15. What strategy is commonly employed in Tennessee to foster positive relationships between law enforcement agencies and diverse communities? A. Racial profiling to identify potential criminal elements within minority communities. B. Implementing strict zero-tolerance policies to maintain law and order. C. Embracing community-oriented policing strategies tailored to the specific needs and concerns of Tennessee communities. D. Deploying military-style tactics to assert dominance and control over high-crime neighborhoods. Correct answer. C. Embracing community-oriented policing strategies tailored to the specific needs and concerns of Tennessee communities. Explanation. Community-oriented policing is a proactive approach embraced by law enforcement agencies in Tennessee to build trust, enhance public safety, and address community concerns collaboratively. It involves forming partnerships with community members, local organizations, and stakeholders to identify and solve problems together. By tailoring strategies to the unique characteristics and challenges of Tennessee communities, law enforcement agencies can effectively engage with residents, promote transparency, and reduce crime rates. Question 16. Mr. Parker, a Tennessee police officer, receives a call about a domestic disturbance in progress. Upon arrival at the scene, he notices a heated argument between a man and a woman in the front yard of a residence. The man appears agitated and is making threatening gestures towards the woman. There are no visible signs of physical violence at the moment, but the situation is tense. What should Officer Parker do in this scenario, considering the principles of de-escalation and conflict resolution in Tennessee? A. Immediately intervene physically to restrain the agitated man and separate him from the woman. B. Verbally command both parties to calm down and comply with his orders to prevent escalation. C. Draw his firearm as a precautionary measure to control the situation and ensure officer safety. D. Ignore the situation unless physical violence erupts, as verbal arguments are not within the jurisdiction of law enforcement. Correct answer. B. Verbally command both parties to calm down and comply with his orders to prevent escalation. Explanation. In Tennessee, law enforcement officers are trained to prioritize de-escalation techniques in volatile situations like domestic disturbances. Officer Parker should first attempt to verbally defuse the situation by calmly addressing both parties and instructing them to lower their voices and refrain from making threats or gestures. This approach aims to reduce tension, prevent escalation to physical violence, and create a safe environment for further assessment and intervention if necessary. Drawing a firearm or using physical force should be considered only as a last resort when all other de-escalation methods have failed or if there is an imminent threat to safety. Question 17. During a natural disaster in Tennessee, what is the primary responsibility of law enforcement officers in terms of emergency response? A. Providing medical assistance and administering first aid to injured individuals. B. Directing traffic to ensure the orderly evacuation of affected areas. C. Enforcing curfews and martial law to maintain public order. D. Coordinating with other emergency services and agencies to ensure public safety and facilitate rescue operations. Correct answer. D. Coordinating with other emergency services and agencies to ensure public safety and facilitate rescue operations. Explanation. In Tennessee, Law enforcement officers play a crucial role in emergency response and crisis management. Their primary responsibility is to coordinate with other emergency services and agencies to ensure a swift and effective response to the disaster. This includes facilitating rescue operations, providing assistance to affected individuals, maintaining public order, and ensuring the safety of the community. Collaboration and coordination among various agencies are essential to minimize the impact of natural disasters and protect lives and property. Question 18. What strategies can Tennessee law enforcement officers employ to promote mental health awareness and resilience within their ranks? A. Encouraging a culture of silence regarding emotional struggles to maintain a tough image. B. Providing access to confidential counseling services and peer support programs. C. Ignoring signs of stress and trauma to prioritize operational effectiveness. D. Discouraging discussions about mental health to avoid stigmatization within the department. Correct answer. B. Providing access to confidential counseling services and peer support programs. Explanation. Mental health awareness and resilience are critical aspects of maintaining a healthy and effective law enforcement workforce in Tennessee. Officers face significant stress and trauma in the line of duty, making it essential to provide them with resources to cope and seek help when needed. Confidential counseling services and peer support programs create a safe environment for officers to discuss their mental health concerns without fear of judgment or stigma. By promoting open dialogue and proactive support, law enforcement agencies in Tennessee can improve overall well-being and performance while reducing the risk of burnout and mental health crises. Question 19. In Tennessee, what ethical principles should guide law enforcement officers when faced with conflicts of interest? A. Prioritizing personal interests over professional obligations to maintain job satisfaction. B. Disclosing conflicts of interest to supervisors and recusing oneself from related assignments or cases. C. Exploiting conflicts of interest for personal gain without violating departmental policies. D. Ignoring conflicts of interest to avoid complicating investigations and operations. Correct answer. B. Disclosing conflicts of interest to supervisors and recusing oneself from related assignments or cases. Explanation. Ethical conduct is paramount in Tennessee law enforcement, especially when dealing with conflicts of interest. Officers are expected to disclose any potential conflicts to their supervisors and take appropriate steps to avoid compromising the integrity of their duties. This may involve recusing oneself from assignments, cases, or situations where personal interests could influence professional judgment or actions. Transparency and accountability are essential in maintaining public trust and upholding the highest standards of professionalism within Tennessee law enforcement agencies. Question 20. What recent developments in policing technology have implications for law enforcement agencies in Tennessee? A. Implementation of facial recognition technology to enhance surveillance capabilities. B. Banning the use of body-worn cameras to protect individual privacy rights. C. Relying solely on traditional investigative methods to solve crimes without technological assistance. D. Adopting drone technology for recreational purposes unrelated to law enforcement activities. Correct answer. A. Implementation of facial recognition technology to enhance surveillance capabilities. Explanation. Recent advancements in policing technology, such as facial recognition technology, offer new opportunities and challenges for law enforcement agencies in Tennessee. Facial recognition technology can enhance surveillance capabilities by quickly identifying individuals in public spaces, aiding in criminal investigations, and locating missing persons. However, concerns regarding privacy rights, potential biases, and accuracy issues necessitate careful consideration and regulation of its use. Law enforcement agencies in Tennessee must balance the benefits of technological innovation with the ethical and legal implications to ensure responsible and effective implementation. Question 21. What historical factors have influenced the evolution of law enforcement in Tennessee? A. The implementation of strict authoritarian regimes to suppress civil liberties and individual rights. B. The legacy of slavery and segregation, leading to disparities in policing practices and community relations. C. The promotion of community-oriented policing strategies since the inception of law enforcement agencies in Tennessee. D. The absence of significant historical events shaping law enforcement practices in Tennessee. Correct answer. B. The legacy of slavery and segregation, leading to disparities in policing practices and community relations. Explanation. The history of law enforcement in Tennessee, like many other southern states, is deeply intertwined with the legacy of slavery, segregation, and systemic racism. Historical factors such as racial discrimination, unequal treatment under the law, and disparities in policing practices have contributed to strained relationships between law enforcement agencies and minority communities. Understanding this historical context is crucial for contemporary law enforcement professionals in Tennessee to address past injustices, promote equity, and rebuild trust within diverse communities. Question 22. What are the primary objectives of physical fitness standards for law enforcement officers in Tennessee? A. Maintaining a certain aesthetic appearance to enhance public perception of law enforcement. B. Improving overall health and reducing the risk of occupational injuries or illnesses. C. Excluding individuals with disabilities or medical conditions from pursuing careers in law enforcement. D. Minimizing the importance of physical fitness in favor of other job-related skills and competencies. Correct answer. B. Improving overall health and reducing the risk of occupational injuries or illnesses. Explanation. Physical fitness standards for law enforcement officers in Tennessee serve multiple purposes, with the primary objective being the improvement of overall health and well-being. These standards aim to ensure that officers are physically capable of performing essential job functions safely and effectively, reducing the risk of injuries or illnesses related to the demands of police work. While physical appearance may be a secondary consideration, the emphasis is primarily on functional fitness, endurance, strength, and agility to meet the challenges encountered in the field. Question 23. What measures can Tennessee law enforcement officers take to effectively enforce DUI laws and detect impaired drivers? A. Relying solely on breathalyzer tests conducted at stationary checkpoints to identify impaired drivers. B. Implementing random traffic stops and field sobriety tests to assess driver's impairment levels. C. Ignoring signs of impaired driving unless a serious accident or injury occurs. D. Allowing individuals to operate vehicles under the influence as long as they do not exhibit visible signs of impairment. Correct answer. B. Implementing random traffic stops and field sobriety tests to assess driver's impairment levels. Explanation. DUI enforcement is a critical aspect of traffic control and public safety in Tennessee. Law enforcement officers utilize various methods, including random traffic stops and field sobriety tests, to detect impaired drivers and enforce DUI laws effectively. These proactive measures help identify individuals who may pose a danger to themselves and others on the road due to alcohol or drug impairment. By conducting thorough assessments of drivers' impairment levels, officers can take appropriate enforcement actions to prevent accidents, injuries, and fatalities associated with impaired driving. Question 24. What factors should Tennessee law enforcement officers consider when determining the appropriate use of force in a given situation? A. The suspect's race or ethnicity as the primary determinant of threat level. B. The officer's personal biases and prejudices regarding the individuals involved. C. The severity of the threat posed by the suspect and the risk of harm to themselves or others. D. The desire to assert authority and control over the situation regardless of the circumstances. Correct answer. C. The severity of the threat posed by the suspect and the risk of harm to themselves or others. Explanation. In Tennessee, as in all jurisdictions, Law enforcement officers are trained to consider various factors when determining the appropriate use of force. The primary consideration should be the severity of the threat posed by the suspect and the level of risk to the safety of the officer or others present. Factors such as the suspect's behavior, the presence of weapons, and the immediacy of the threat should guide the officer's decision-making process. Personal biases, prejudices, or desires to assert authority should never influence the use of force decisions, as the primary goal is to minimize harm and ensure public safety. Question 25. How do law enforcement agencies in Tennessee utilize crime prevention strategies to address criminal activity? A. Reactive measures focused on apprehending offenders after crimes have been committed. B. Collaborative partnerships with community members to identify and address underlying factors contributing to crime. C. Implementing punitive measures to deter criminal behavior through fear of punishment. D. Ignoring crime prevention efforts in favor of prioritizing response to emergency calls. Correct answer. B. Collaborative partnerships with community members to identify and address underlying factors contributing to crime. Explanation. Crime prevention is a proactive approach adopted by law enforcement agencies in Tennessee to reduce criminal activity and enhance public safety. This involves forming collaborative partnerships with community members, local organizations, and stakeholders to identify and address the underlying factors contributing to crime. By engaging in community-oriented initiatives, such as neighborhood watch programs, crime prevention seminars, and youth outreach programs, law enforcement agencies can empower residents to take an active role in deterring criminal behavior. This collaborative approach fosters trust, strengthens relationships, and creates safer communities in Tennessee. Question 26. Under Tennessee law, what are the Miranda rights and when are they required to be administered by law enforcement officers? A. Miranda rights are rights granted exclusively to law enforcement officers to ensure fair treatment during investigations. B. Miranda rights are only applicable to individuals suspected of violent crimes in Tennessee. C. Miranda rights are constitutional rights that must be read to individuals in custody before they are questioned by law enforcement officers. D. Miranda rights are discretionary and may be administered by law enforcement officers at their own discretion. Correct answer. C. Miranda rights are constitutional rights that must be read to individuals in custody before they are questioned by law enforcement officers. Explanation. In Tennessee, Miranda rights are constitutional rights derived from the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. These rights include the right to remain silent and the right to have an attorney present during questioning. Law enforcement officers are required to read Miranda rights to individuals who are in custody and subject to interrogation or questioning. This requirement ensures that individuals are aware of their rights against self-incrimination and have the opportunity to exercise them effectively. Failure to administer Miranda warnings can result in the suppression of any statements obtained during custodial interrogation in court proceedings. Question 27. What are the key responsibilities of law enforcement officers in Tennessee in terms of public safety and crime prevention? A. Exclusively focusing on reactive measures to apprehend offenders after crimes have been committed. B. Proactively patrolling communities to deter criminal activity and respond to emergencies. C. Prioritizing personal interests and individual gain over public safety concerns. D. Avoiding interaction with community members to minimize potential conflicts or confrontations. Correct answer. B. Proactively patrolling communities to deter criminal activity and respond to emergencies. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Tennessee have a multifaceted role in ensuring public safety and crime prevention. While reactive measures are necessary for apprehending offenders, officers also engage in proactive patrolling of communities to deter criminal activity and respond to emergencies swiftly. This proactive approach involves building positive relationships with community members, identifying and addressing underlying factors contributing to crime, and implementing strategies to enhance public safety. By actively engaging with residents and stakeholders, law enforcement officers in Tennessee can create a sense of security and trust within their communities. Question 28. Why are interpersonal skills essential for law enforcement officers in Tennessee, particularly in promoting effective teamwork? A. Interpersonal skills are irrelevant in law enforcement, as officers primarily work independently. B. Effective teamwork relies solely on hierarchical structures and command authority. C. Interpersonal skills facilitate communication, collaboration, and mutual respect among team members. D. Law enforcement officers in Tennessee are trained to prioritize individual achievements over collaborative efforts. Correct answer. C. Interpersonal skills facilitate communication, collaboration, and mutual respect among team members. Explanation. In Tennessee law enforcement, as in any profession, interpersonal skills are crucial for promoting effective teamwork and achieving common goals. Law enforcement officers often work in teams or units, requiring effective communication, collaboration, and mutual respect among team members. Interpersonal skills such as active listening, empathy, conflict resolution, and cultural competence enable officers to build rapport with colleagues, coordinate efforts during operations, and navigate diverse situations effectively. By fostering a culture of teamwork and collaboration, law enforcement agencies in Tennessee can enhance operational effectiveness, improve morale, and strengthen community relations. Question 29. Officer Jackson responds to a call reporting a potential burglary in progress at a residential neighborhood in Tennessee. Upon arrival, Officer Jackson observes a suspect attempting to break into a house through a window. What actions should Officer Jackson take in this scenario, considering the principles of officer safety and apprehension of suspects? A. Immediately confront the suspect and attempt to physically restrain them to prevent the burglary. B. Wait for backup to arrive before approaching the suspect to minimize the risk of confrontation. C. Disregard the suspect and focus on securing the perimeter of the neighborhood to prevent their escape. D. Engage in a foot pursuit with the suspect to apprehend them before they can flee the scene. Correct answer. B. Wait for backup to arrive before approaching the suspect to minimize the risk of confrontation. Explanation. In situations involving potential criminal activity, such as a burglary in progress, officer safety is paramount. Officer Jackson should prioritize waiting for backup to arrive before approaching the suspect to minimize the risk of confrontation and ensure sufficient support during the apprehension process. Engaging the suspect alone may escalate the situation and put Officer Jackson at risk of harm. By exercising patience and waiting for backup, Officer Jackson can enhance safety for both themselves and the suspect, while also increasing the likelihood of a successful apprehension without incident. Question 30. What are the consequences of inaccurate or incomplete report writing by law enforcement officers in Tennessee? A. Inaccurate or incomplete reports have no impact on the outcome of criminal investigations or court proceedings. B. Inaccurate or incomplete reports may lead to misunderstandings, errors in judgment, and compromised legal proceedings. C. Law enforcement officers in Tennessee are exempt from consequences related to inaccurate or incomplete report writing. D. Report writing is solely the responsibility of administrative staff, and officers are not accountable for the accuracy or completeness of their reports. Correct answer. B. Inaccurate or incomplete reports may lead to misunderstandings, errors in judgment, and compromised legal proceedings. Explanation. In Tennessee law enforcement, accurate and complete report writing is essential for maintaining the integrity of investigations and legal proceedings. Inaccurate or incomplete reports can lead to misunderstandings, errors in judgment, and compromised legal proceedings, as they may fail to provide a comprehensive account of incidents, actions taken, and evidence collected. Additionally, such reports may hinder the effectiveness of follow-up investigations and impact the prosecution of criminal cases in court. Therefore, Law enforcement officers in Tennessee must ensure the accuracy and completeness of their reports to uphold professional standards and facilitate the fair administration of justice.